Harry's wife. Her control is ruining Christmas. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. We, of course, have been treated to the spectacle that is the Netflix docuseries, which is a carefully stylized PR exercise portraying that everything is wonderful and rosy in the garden at Monty Shit Show. So rosy indeed that Harry's wife doesn't have to attend to the children. She can wear pristine white gloves whilst chopping off roses and telling everybody how wonderful it is, and to look at her, the Duchess in the garden with the roses. It's also all about the whinge fest of persecution and victimhood, and naturally anybody that understands narcissism and has brain cells that they can rub together realises that this is just a manufactured documentary to portray a particular narrative in accordance with Harry's wife's necessity of asserting control over her clueless intimate partner primary source, the ginger poodle. Yes, hapless Harry, buying into the folie à deux that she has drawn him into, believing everything that she tells him, that she caters to his desires and whims in order to bring him under control, because ultimately her narcissism denotes that it's going to get her what she wants. Control over him, control over other people, the residual benefits of facade management, lots of money, fame, clothing, and so forth. However, notwithstanding this attempt to push a particular narrative through this programme, we now turn to another article from that bastion of journalistic excellence, Heat magazine, which tells us how controlling Harry's wife is ruining Harry's Christmas. There's no denying Prince Harry and Harry's wife have achieved a lot over the last few weeks, what with collecting humanitarian awards, starring in their own tell-all docu-series, and gearing up for the release of Harry's highly anticipated memoir. So it would be understandable that they'd want to relax and indulge as they prepare for the festive period. However, it's looking like Harry won't be able to do that, as Heat has been told Harry's wife wants to use the Christmas run-up for him to get in tip-top shape ahead of the promotion for his book Spare in January. Harry's wife wants Harry to use this month to wean himself off all processed food, bad carbs and unnecessary calories so he's in the best shape possible, our source says. She knows how important it is for him to be in tip-top condition mentally and physically, as there will be a lot of pressure on him when he does the media rounds in January. He'll be lucky if he gets a teaspoon of cranberry sauce, and things like chips and salty nuts, for now, are totally off limits, while alcohol is limited to 1 or 2 low-cal beers per day. Harry is going along with it, but he's joked that she's ruining his run-up to Christmas as he wants to overindulge like normal. But he knows way better than to argue with her about these things. She's still very much the boss in all departments, and he's more on board with the happy wife, happy life attitude than ever. Oh dear. That is the mentality of an individual that has bought into what his captor tells him he needs to do. Now, of course, on the face of it, eating healthily and not eating a lot of processed food and all the rest of it is ostensibly sensible. But remember, a narcissist can utilise the truth to get to the prime aims. She does it giving the appearance of caring about him. I care about your health. I don't want you putting weight on. I don't want you eating shitty foods that are going to affect you when you have all of this running around and promotional work to be done in January. So she does it under the auspices of caring about him. But as we know, as a narcissist, she has no emotional empathy for him. What it's really being done is through false compassion for the purposes of asserting control over him and drawing fuel. By appearing to care for him, she's using food and wellness as a means to control him. The poor bastard isn't allowed to scoff down a few after-eights or indulge in a Bendix mints, and he's certainly not going to get a few lagers down his neck, which is going to be a bit of a disappointment for old pisspot Harry. The point is, of course, that food is a weapon to the narcissist. And I'd encourage you to watch my video, The Narcissist and Food, to understand more about the ways in which a narcissist utilises food to control a victim. And that's what's happening here. Often the narcissist will do so in terms of you're putting on too much weight, you need to step back from the cake, fatty, and will insult that person and shame them. In other instances, it's about the narcissist having ownership over certain foods and not allowing the other person access to them. In other instances, it's the narcissist accessing everybody else's food without respecting the boundaries. My video, The Narcissist and Food, goes into much more detail for this to help you understand the ways in which it's being done. But here, Harry's Christmas is essentially being ruined in terms of having a great old time and a bit of a scoff. It's not exactly the case. He's a huge fatty to begin with. Sure, you could do with a bit of toning, but it's demonstrative of another form of control that she asserts over him. And of course, Harry buying into this attitude of happy wife, happy life, it just shows how controlled he is, that he's not even going to stand up and say, look, I'm going to enjoy myself over Christmas and then I'll get on a bit of a health kick, but stop telling me what to eat. He just simps along with it because as a consequence of the way that she's conditioned him through the control and his own emotional thinking, he believes, yeah, I'll go along with it. She has my best interests at heart. The article continues. The 38-year-old prince, who lives in California with Harry's wife, 41, and their two children, Archie 3 and 18-month-old Lilibet, will find himself very much in demand in the new year as his explosive book is due for release on the 10th of January. It is likely to cause more friction in his relationship with his family, given what he's already said about them. And with a global tour planned to promote the book, we're told Harry knows he'll need all the stamina he can get. He's actually excited about getting more sculpted. That's been on his to-do list for years. He knows he has to make a change, especially because of the busy time he's got coming up, our insider says. Like almost everyone else, he did a lot of comfort eating during the pandemic, but now is time for a change. The source continues. Harry's wife eats so cleanly, and of course it always has to be brought back to Harry's wife, the foodie, and works out so diligently herself. Really? She doesn't really show much sign because she has very little muscle mass, and you look at her, she's not exactly defined, is she, in that regard? She strikes me more as somebody that doesn't really eat a lot, or perhaps even does, and this is purely conjecture on my part, eats it and barfs it up. She's one of the healthiest people you could ever meet. Oh, the irony. Besides the occasional cheat day, everything she set out for herself is followed to the letter. Harry now needs to follow that example and abide by the same rules. Otherwise, he will have the pink pods electrocuted once again. It's thought the family will spend Christmas in America with Harry's wife's mum, Doria, because basically they don't have any friends, which will be the fourth Christmas they have not spent with the royals in Britain. Assertion of control by withdrawal, isolation of Harry from his extended family. We're told Harry is only interested in what's good for him and his family, so they'll be staying in the sunshine where he can work on his new body. This is rough on Harry. His day starts around 5 a.m. or sometimes even earlier. Then he's on the treadmill and working up a serious sweat before breakfast, says the source. He's got lots of work commitments, for instance, stacking the building blocks in alphabetical order, recovering the crayons that were thrown around in the last temper tantrum, and of course tidying up the chicken coop. But Harry's wife still expects him to be back in the gym later lifting weights. Any snacks are ultra healthy, such as protein shake or nuts and berries. He'll take a short break for lunch, which is usually steamed fish or boiled chicken and rice. The source continues, he does get to mix it up a bit with pasta and certain organic forms of red meat, but for the most part he's trying to be veggie. So it's loads of vegetables, cheese for protein, plus tofu and omelettes. Bread and processed foods are off the menu, as is alcohol, save the occasional sip of something very low-cal when he and Harry's wife are on a date night or celebrating something special, or when he goes and escapes and sits in a corner somewhere on the Monty Shitshow estate getting absolutely fucked up. The insider adds it's very tough on Harry. He'd love to indulge in some holiday treats, such as pies and potatoes. But that isn't permitted right now, and that's how these holidays are going to be, unless he wants to land himself in hot water. And of course, this just shows another form of control that she holds over the Prince of Pink Pancakes, telling him what to eat under the auspices of caring for him about his health and the way that he looks. Remember, of course, he is an extension of her, and therefore the way that he looks reflects on her. It's also a necessity of controlling him in this manner by telling him what he can eat and drink. And Harry, of course, knows that if he disobeys, well, more devaluing behaviour will come his way, although he doesn't realise that's precisely what it is. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.